Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure and indeed a very historic moment for Racewell tonight to introduce you to Mark Borowski, all the way from the United Kingdom. He has a very, very long and very illustrious CV, which I'm going to let him tell you about. But the bottom line is that the reason for getting Mark to join us this evening is because hopefully in the foreseeable future, you will be benefiting from all hours of study, all the years of knowledge, all the years of experience. Mark, a great welcome to the show. Thank you very, very much for joining us on Race Fault.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Andy, and great to be part of Race Fault. Really looking forward to it. And yeah, look excited to get stuck in, get some winners.
Well, the most important thing is that we've got to give people something to hang on to. And
Yep.
what we're telling you right in the beginning of the show is don't get all excited when we start talking about the way things are in South Africa and the way things are in England, because we're not going to change anything. We're not prime ministers, we're not presidents. We're talking about the way of a punter, the way of an investor. We're going to end off with the Oaks, which is now sponsored by Betfred, and the Derby, which is also sponsored by Betfred. I had the rare privilege of attending it for 10 consecutive years, from 2010 when Workforce won all the way up till just before COVID. But that's irrelevant. What is important is, Mark, let's talk first of all about the differential between jargon. I use that word jargon as a common sense way of putting terminology, because maybe a win is not a win in England, even though a win is always a win. What about some of the other bets, win, play, show, trifecta, quartet, all of those bets, so that we don't confuse the public out there when we're talking about the way in which you are used to talking about it?
Yes, obviously, I'm from the UK, and our betting jargon terminology, even our odd structure, is different to what's in Australia or America, for example. In traditional sportsbooks in the UK and Ireland are fractions, whereas I think decimals just got brought into the UK when the exchanges got brought out. And obviously, if you go into America, for example, they are all decimals. Obviously, I was in Las Vegas during the summer betting, and I learned a lot of jargon out there as well, even things to do with racing. They don't have each way bets within America, whereas traditionally in the UK it's win or each way. They just have win or win in place in America. And obviously, I know things are different if you're in Hong Kong, for example, South Africa, or even Australia. I remember when I was a fresh-faced young man, I was betting in the tab, for example, and you couldn't take a price. Decimals. That's the only other place I seen them prior to going to America was on the Betfair Exchange. But there's certainly a lot of differences in the terminology. I mean, for example, in the UK, I traditionally like to bet big prices, so they could say that's outsiders or long shots. Whereas in America, Australia, they call it a roughie. That would be my sort of MO. How I find value in winners in the race. And like even small things like push as well. I mean, the terminology is very, very different, but the end result is that you want to make profit in this game, and in every jurisdiction you need to find value to do that. That's the first thing, is find the value, and then the winners come after.
Well, I'm sure that you've read many books on success as a punter, and we all know that there is a factor or is a statistic that is attributed to the success of favorites. Is it 1 in 3? Is it 1 in 4? Is it 1 in 5? How many favorites, in your opinion, actually win races?
I think it's around 33%, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, even for example, I mean, if you're backing even money shots, I mean, that's a 50% flip of a coin, isn't it? And that's why I try and stay away from shorter price favorites, or even favorites as a whole. I mean, I'll purposely try and target races where I think there's a weak favorite, or a weak second favorite. I mean, if I can find something at 20 to 1, which I think is a 10 to 1 chance, or if I can get 20s and I'm beating the starting price at 10 to 1, if I consistently do that, I'm going to win just with simple maths. But I'll always, I mean, that's one stage of my process of betting professionally, is I'll always look for weak favorites. And genuinely, from my time working in the industry, pricing up races, looking at 30,000 betting accounts, I've never came across an account that wins backing favorites. So it literally, that's just a free tip for everyone. It's a recipe for disaster. You should always look for races and target races where you think there's a weak favorite, one you want to take on.
Well, funny enough, you said a free tip. My wife sent me a clip today on Facebook about the recently passed badminton horse trials, and it was an interview with Priscilla Green, asking for Lucinda Green, I beg your pardon, asking for tips on how to ride badminton. And she recalls the fact that when she was 18 years young, her father said to her, the most important thing is to have fun. When you're jumping 1 meter 30 fences that are sometimes closer to 150, and there are 32 jumps trying to bring you down, not necessarily bring you down, but trying to stop you getting to the end. It's a very, very funny thing to say, have fun, particularly when you're riding in somebody else's saddle. So I think that's fantastic news for the punters out there to realize that you cannot win backing favorites all the time. You have to look for value. And that's exactly why Form Grids has become a Bible, or like a disciple for me, because they show you so clearly collateral form. And it's so often you find a horse that's finished half a length or a length behind the other horse, and it's 12 or 14 to 1, and the other one is 5 to 2, which is ridiculous because people are just drawn to the top of the board. Would that be a fair comment?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, Andrew. And obviously, because I run a private racing service as well, I mean, I'd probably say 90%, 95% of punters who join my racing service, who I communicate with, who are people who bet at the top of the market traditionally. And obviously, as a result, I mean, they're all losing long term. I mean, they might have a little bit of short term success, but I mean, the big number is they're in the negative. And sometimes it can be difficult to sort of educate punters and just tell them that this is not the right way to do it. But the ones who change their mindset and look for horses out with the favourites, they always have more success. I mean, a prime example would be the race that we looked at yesterday. Would you agree? I mean, we found a favourite was one that we thought there was one you wanted to take on, was a false price favourite, and you found a 14 to 1 winner. And the two that I liked finished second and third. I mean, we had a 305 to 1 TriCast in our first race together. I mean, that's just a prime example.
Well, you got 305 Rand TriCast in the United Kingdom. Over here, we had to take 226 Rand, which I find very difficult to understand. But let's not go into that, because that will definitely incur the wrath of the operator, and we don't want to do. We want to be constructive. We want to try and give people good, sound advice. So the fact of the matter is that my horse opened up at a ridiculous price. I think it opened up at 4 or 5 to 1. It drifted off the boards like a lonely soldier, like nobody wanted it. And she never, ever looked like losing from the time that she turned for home. And her form at Lingfield had obviously been exemplary. She had won there, and she got beaten no more than a length, finishing 7th, just out of the money, which was a classic case in point where people only look at the first 3 or 4 past the post. They don't look what happened further back and why that horse maybe it suffered interference or whatever the case may be. But let's not blow our own trumpet. Let's talk about the most important thing is the heritage from which you've come, the experience that you've had in order to make these decisions.
Yeah, I mean, probably since a young age, probably 15, 16, I've sort of had the bug for it. I mean, my uncle was an on-course bookmaker in Scotland, and obviously my parents tried their best to keep me away from it. But I mean, he used to take me to the football matches and what price is this, what price is that? And I just had the bug for it. And as soon as I hit 18, I was obviously fortunate enough to be taught by a professional gambler who taught me which races to play in, which races not to play in. And obviously, I've learned a lot along the way, meeting other profitable punters as well. And listen, went to uni and had a job working for a whiskey company. And I just always wanted to work in the gambling industry. So I got a job after that, working down south, working for some small bookmakers as an odds compiler, sort of pricing up races. So that's where the sort of intuition to finding value sort of came from initially. I would like to say that I was winning long term anyway, but being able to learn from more like-minded people definitely helped me. And then after that, I was working for Paddy Power Betfair, so obviously working for a white label, and that definitely helped as well. A lot of smart people there, got a lot of exposure, especially to the Betfair exchange, and you could see how different people were betting, but it was only a small percentage of people who were actually winning. But I learned a lot there, and obviously done a bit of work for the Racing Post as a racing analyst, sort of like previewing races, doing Talk Sport, Racing Post Live, etc. I mean, I've had a really strong sort of history within the space, and probably say for the last 2-3 years I've been betting professionally and winning and running a private racing service as well. So that's where my main focus is right now, on providing value and winners for the clients. That's my main driver at the moment. All my attention's on that.
Okay, so the question is now, you've got your own tipping service.
Yeah.
Why would you want to come to the southernmost tip of Africa to join Racefeld? There must be something very exciting about the concept of Racefeld that has decided, you to spread your wings and to try and expand your horizons.
Well, I think the market in the UK is certainly changing. Looking to expand, grow my network, and more just to learn as well. I mean, learn from people like yourself, Andrew, and learn how South African punters and professionals bet as well. I mean, I'm always looking to learn on that front. It's just start add value and make money for punters and take money off bookmakers. That's what I've done for the last 10, 15 years. So I'm continuing to do it with Racefeld. I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, look, we had an itinerary of things that we were going to discuss. And one of the issues further up the itinerary was information versus intuition.
Yeah.
Because intuition, in my mind, is the most powerful force on the planet. It's a combination of instinct, which sits in your stomach, and reason, which sits in your head.
Yeah.
And somewhere out there is a word called intuition. So you're making an intuitive decision, which is normally pretty perfect. Hard to find them, but on the odd occasion, everything just falls into place. So where does information come into the equation, and where does your intuition and your judgment of that which you know really make your overriding decision?
I do agree with the intuition thing, and I think that is a rare, unique skill amongst punters. I mean, in regards to information, I mean, there is a lot of information flying around, and obviously it's my job to sieve out the bad stuff to the good stuff. And I definitely say the majority of it is no good. I mean, from my time working in the gambling industry, Paddy Per, Betfair, and Racing Post, I mean, I have built a really strong network of contacts, and you can sort of measure which ones are good and which ones aren't. And then, as you say, you've got your intuition that you just sort of put the puzzle together. And I mean, there's been loads of times as well where we've had horses. I mean, the puzzles came together, but the price isn't there. I mean, there's so many parts to the puzzle. And I'd probably say, honestly, the intuition is probably giving me more no bets than actually playing. It's telling me when not to bet. And I think that's definitely what's helped me a lot with building profit long term. It protects the bottom line. My intuition is more that this is not a value bet, whereas a lot of people just want to dive in. And I think that's how a lot of people go skint. It's not just getting that gut feeling this is going to win. There's so many parts to the puzzle, but I definitely say intuition gives me more no bets than actually playing, and that's what protects my bottom line long term and the clients.
Okay, so when we look at certain races like the Investec Derby, I love the Betfred Derby. It's so hard for me to get Investec out of my head because I was there for so long, and because it was such a South African institution. The point is that the Derby and the Oaks are like no other races on the planet. No horse has ever gone through such torture and such adulation as going from the bottom of Epsom Downs to the very top point, coming around Tattenham Corner with a reverse camber, hitting the dip, and then still having extra to the finish. And then you sort of run past the Epsom Downs Holiday Inns and finish up at the back of the car park. It is the most incredible experience. And how does one pick a winner for the Derby or the Oaks, particularly if it's not trained by Aidan O'Brien or John Gosden?
I mean, Aidan O'Brien, I mean, he's absolutely cleaned up in recent times. The likes of Lambourne, City of Troy, Augusta Rodan. I mean, the one that I couldn't have was City of Troy after being so disappointing in the Guineas. But just how I would sort of approach the Derby would be that you need a horse that stays. You need a horse that you know is going to stay. I mean, anything that you've got suspect stamina on the side of the dam, I wouldn't play it. And then I think the draw is very important as well. You don't want to be drawn too much on the inside. When they come across, you can be too far back. And sometimes horses that have trials, it's kind of undulating tracks. I think that's a positive as well, because a lot of horses don't handle Epsom. And I mean, from a betting
probably
perspective,
your number one trial.
Yeah. I mean, I think Chester's important as well. I mean, I think Lingfield's a bit more of a flat track, but I mean, Aidan O'Brien, he's the master at getting the horses ready. I like to have a horse that's won last time out, preferably as well. I mean, if it's below a certain price. I mean, there is one that I like that's trained by William Haggis that's in the Derby. I mean, it's running in the Dante tomorrow. Morshidi. It's 25s at the moment. I thought this one was quite impressive last time out, and I think if the horse wins the Dante tomorrow, I mean 7-2 in the market. It's not going to be a 25-1 chance. I mean, Stable Flying, they've had winners already at York today, 24%. And one thing I liked about this horse was I think the form was really solid at Newmarket, and it is undulating there, and strong RPR 108. I mean, I don't think it's a vintage renewal this year. And I mean, if this horse can get a decent draw in the middle and he wins the Dante, he's probably going to be about an 8-1 chance on the day, I'd probably say. Maybe more at the top of the market. That's how I'd sort of look at the Derby. And in regards to the Oaks, again, it's similar sort of process. There's one that I like, is the Charlie Johnson horse, Venetian Lace, 12-1. I think this horse was been very good so far, especially the last 2 runs. Didn't get the head in front, and he's been placing at massive prices. Ran behind Precise, and listen, the form again is decent. I mean, it's proven this horse she's ran on as well. If this horse can get a good draw, I think this one could be dangerous. I mean, she's got really good gate speed as well, so she can get out of trouble even if she's drawn low as well. That would be the 2 that I like, Andrew. I mean, Venetian Lace, I mean, she's a 12-1 chance for the Oaks, and Morshidi, William Haggis trained 25s. I mean, these are big prices. Obviously, the draw is going to impact it more, especially the Haggis horse if it wins the Dante. But I don't think either races are vintage renewals. I think there's definitely value to be had in the market right now.
So, I must have walked the Derby course 20 or 30 times because my wife and I refuse to stay in London. We absolutely insist on staying at the Epsom Downs Holiday Inn, right in the middle of the racetrack. And every morning it's a ritual. I just fail to understand how that draw can be so severe, because you all start in a straight line. You go up the hill past Downs House.
Yeah.
How can a low draw be so disastrous, which the stats have proven?
Yeah.
Can you not slightly tuck out of it and get a little bit of a slipstream up the hill and then improve your position from the highest point sort of down towards Tattenham Corner, and then hope that you've got a free run? I don't know why the stats are like they are, but it amazes me. It absolutely amazes me.
I would agree with you, because it's such a long straight, but it's definitely a truly run race, because Aidan O'Brien will definitely put pacemakers in the race to suit his horses. I just think if you're not first away or second away, draw maybe 1, 2, or 3 on the inside, they come across and you're too far back, and if you go wide, you give away too much ground. And say the Aidan O'Brien runners are usually sitting quite handy, and it's very difficult to pick those ones up. I mean, and as you say, it's so undulating as well, and you've got so much time to run them down. But it's just a lot of these horses are beat probably 3 furlongs out because they're just gasping for air, and a lot of them don't stay and don't handle the course. Yeah. It is a very unique race course anyway.
Okay, we've talked about pace. Now, in South Africa, there's certain courses where you always get a good pace. Probably Greyville, because it's a tight turn, and because the false rail can sometimes be quite far out, which would give horses an opportunity to spread out, but you still haven't got more than 380 meters to unwind your particular finish. Whereas Turffontein, which has an 800 meter straight, gives people more of an opportunity to sit in and wait. But there's more of the canter sprint situation in South Africa than there is in England, which catches a lot of South African horses out when they go there, because the pace is so intense from the go, because you don't have this false rail, and normally the fittest and the strongest and the best horse ends up winning.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I mean, I do think there are some tracks that jockeys can slow it down and kick around the bend. And I hate to come back to that race yesterday. I thought Mark Gianni did exactly that. He crawled at Lingfield and he stacked them up, and he just got first run, didn't he? He managed to nick a few lengths at the bend, turning it into a sprint. Kempton, it used to have the false running rail, and it used to turn into a sprint before. It's not as bad as it used to be, because they removed that. But there are some tracks in the UK where I'd be a bit not cautious about playing, but the draw would definitely be important. You'd need something to be handy in places like, say, Bath, for example, or Chester. I mean, that's a prime example of horses that if you're held up and you're out the back, it's not a truly run race. You're 1,000,000 to 1. But it's a really good point what you're making in South Africa. I much prefer a truly run race. I mean, places like Catterick, Long Straights, Newcastle, so there's less excuses. It's a truly run race, and the best horse usually comes out on top then, and there's less hard luck stories.
Yeah, I think when you look at Leopardstown, or you look at the Curragh, or you look at Newmarket, I mean, it's very, very seldom that you can get caught in a pocket. I have seen many a good jockey get caught at Ascot, not least of all Frankie on one of the greatest stayers we've ever seen before, other than Yates. I remember one particular day over a mile and a half, or maybe even 2 miles, 2 miles it was, where he just couldn't get out. And there's very famous colours with the yellow cap and the black body, very similar to Mary Slack's colours here in South Africa, except she's got a red cap. And well, he's gone off to stud now.
Yeah, I mean, another track is quite bad for that is Goodwood. I mean, if you get stuck on the inside, you've had it there as well. Goodwood, because sometimes they don't fan out, you can find trouble. But there's no excuses the likes of Newmarket, the Curragh Leopardstown, because it's such a huge track. I mean, sometimes you maybe got a track bias. I mean, maybe the ground's a bit better on one side, but there's very, very seldom you have hard luck stories there for trouble.
What about Windsor? I know a story about South Africa's greatest champion in terms of number of wins of a championship, Michael Roberts, who of course came to England and became the first South African jockey ever to win the English championship with great toil. Apparently, at Windsor one day, it was so misty that where the course crosses over, he went the wrong way, which is not completely unforgivable.
I don't know about this one. This one could maybe be when it was probably illegal for me to bet. Maybe a bit before my time, Andrew. Definitely that. But I mean, Windsor, in a way, you used to have the golden lane, the golden mile, right up on a Monday night. Windsor, Richard Hughes and Richard Hannon used to clean up, or you'd have the golden lane at Lingfield on the turf track as well. But Michael Roberts in the mix, that's a bit before my time, unfortunately.
Okay, well. Michael Roberts tells the story of how they actually used to take his socks and cut the feet off them. I mean, they tried everything in the book to dissuade him from traveling as extensively as he did, but they'll never take that record away from him, and he's now training here in South Africa. Okay. As far as getting on is concerned, in South Africa, I heard in a three-way conversation the other day between yourself, myself, and Christian Khalil that it is possible to get an extraordinary amount of money on here in South Africa because the exchanges are so strong. And with the imminent arrival of Betfair in South Africa, it's possibly going to be likely that we're going to get offshore money coming into this country to bolster the turnover and to bolster, hopefully, what will be a more successful pot pool or stakes pool in South Africa, because that's what people really race for. Unless you don't need the money, but everybody likes to go to Dubai where the prize is so high, or Qatar, or even the Breeders' Cup. So ultimately, people want to race for good money, and turnover and rake off definitely will help turnover.
Yeah, I think that South Africa could be potentially hitting a golden era here, especially with Betfair going there, and their liquidity's there. They just need a sort of a platform to place the bets. Whereas in the UK, they have the platform, but obviously we have affordability checks, and a lot of safer gambling activists in this country are making it difficult for people like myself to even deposit. So obviously, as a byproduct, the exchanges are losing a lot of liquidity, and it's non-existent now. So we could have a situation where a race at Lingfield or Kempton, for example, Generic All Weather, will have less liquidity turnover than, say, a race at Greyville or Turffontein, because people in South Africa can deposit and get the bets on. And because there's less racing there, you're probably going to see a lot more liquidity. And that's an issue right now within the UK. And it's not just exchanges, it's sort of traditional sports books as well. I mean, I'd probably say in the early, maybe like 2015, 16, it was very difficult for someone like myself to even place bets because I was heavily restricted. And you could just put money on in shops, but obviously that window's closed now as well because the shops are closing and they've changed the rules. You can get less on, and even people that can place bets for you, they're now getting affected by affordability checks as well. And obviously, again, as a byproduct, there's a rise in the black market in the UK. pretty insane. I mean, of course that was going to happen, but then places like South Africa can really benefit from not having these stringent sort of draconian checks on punters, because punters don't like it. And if they did have it, they're just going to go to the black market like they did in the UK. But I genuinely think there could be a golden area right now for South African racing, just so punters can actually get a bet on. It's going to be massive.
All right. Who do you think initiated affordability checks? Was it the government, or was it the National Horse Racing Authority, or Jockey Club, as it's known here in South Africa?
So
the opposite way around. Sorry.
I would honestly say it was the regulator, the Gambling Commission, and again, full honesty and transparency. I mean, when I joined Betfair back in 2018, 2019, so prior to COVID, there was so many smart people there. You could learn from so many people. There's ex-Google, top 4 KPMG, those types of people there. But after COVID, there was definitely a shift to getting non-gambling people in, so people that didn't really like punting because they wanted to rebrand things. And that was sort of 2021, 2022. You could see that there was definitely the quality of staff kind of went down. So it wasn't betting people that were making the decisions. And I honestly had a call with someone in the industry after a VIP client had been shut down. I mean, a high-profile tennis bettor, high-frequency bots. There's a problem with the bot, and the client lost, I think, 3,000. I mean, this guy was betting 7 figures annually on the tennis, and his account automatically got closed, safer gambling. And he obviously explained what had happened. And he was telling the truth. You could check from like 15 years worth of data. And I'm on a call with another analyst, and we knew what had happened because we understand betting. We're on the call with maybe 20 safer gambling executive analysts, and the head of SG safer gambling sort of interrupted me when I'm explaining to them the customer was backing and laying, just trying to make a small margin. They said to me, "What's the difference between backing and laying?" Didn't even know. And this is the person is closing people's accounts then, and that's when I knew. I mean, this isn't. They're in a lot of trouble here. They're in a lot of trouble. It was time to go.
They didn't know the difference between backing and laying.
Yeah. And I could just see my friend typing on Slack.
Back and you lay under if you get kicked off. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Yes. So what this person was doing is they were using a high frequency bot to back and lay just to scalp maybe a tiny percentage. And they were like making up like 70% of some of these markets, lower grade markets. So they're obviously a plus to the exchange because they're pumping liquidity into it. And the decision maker didn't even know the difference between backing and laying. And I was thinking, we're in a lot of trouble here. We're in a lot of trouble.
Okay, well, obviously, when you talk about laying, it means quite simply that you look at the favorite and you think to yourself, this is a hype horse. Who did he beat last time out? Who was closest to him? There's much better value in that horse at 7-2 or 4-1 or 9-2, as opposed to the 12-10 that's on offer. And quite often one gets the feeling that the bookmakers are trying to suck those guys in that want to wash their cash, because there is a suspicion that a lot of hot money goes into betting to try and clean their cash, whether it's the casino or whether it's betting with betting exchanges. Obviously that's something that has to be looked into, but the fact remains that you can still get a devil of a lot of money on here, as opposed to in the United Kingdom, where these affordability checks have not been instituted as yet.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And I do agree that there was probably things that were going on in the past that as I say, hot money. There's probably a lot of money laundering, and the AML sort of regulations are a lot more stricter now. And you can't get away with that stuff anymore, because you've obviously got the FOBT machines in the shops, the roulette machines, and the stakes being lowered massively, and you can't deposit anymore onto sportsbooks or exchanges within the UK. The black market is a completely different kettle of fish, though. There's no deposit limits on that. There's probably a majority of that stuff going on there, but that's not a market that I operate in.
Well, my philosophy in life is very simple at this stage. I believe that with today's viewers, I don't know who they are, but people's attention span is much less likely to watch a documentary as opposed to a reel. So I'm going to say to the folk out there, if you want more, if you want to see more of Mark, you got to give us a thumbs up, because I would like to have a very, very special program highlighting the Derby and the Oaks in detail. Once we've had these trials, once the Dante has been run, and the fillies equivalent is, what is that fillies equivalent run tomorrow?
Oh, the one at York, is it? It's not the Dante, is it?
Yep.
That's the other one, isn't it? The Dante. Oh, top of my head. Is it running at York tomorrow? The Dante's in the 405, isn't it?
Yeah, normally
Is
you have the
it the
Phillies race on
Middleton?
the same day.
Is it the Middleton Phillies, the Dubai one? Is that the one?
It could easily be that,
No,
but
that's not.
let's
I don't
not
think it is. That's for the older horses. It's not that one.
let's just
I need to get.
concentrate on the Dante tomorrow. See if William Haggis brings home the bacon. See what else comes out of it, because normally, I mean, whether it's Workforce, or whoever it is that wins the Dante, normally is close to the time, normally 10, 12 days out, enough time to recover, but enough time to show that you're good enough.
Yeah. Andrew, what's your pick for the Derby in Epsom? Are you going to keep it for the special show?
No, well, I digested so much information last night about Aidan O'Brien's horses that look. I mean, he just said that Ryan Moore is going to have a devil of a job making his decision.
Yeah.
And it always is that way. I mean, he doesn't always get on the right one. We've seen in the past that Ryan's been on one and Joseph's been on another one, and Patrick Beggy wins it on a 40-1 chance called Wings of Eagles. It can happen. So I would like to be more certain about the outcome of the Dante. Sit down with a piece of paper that is very clear on where they started in the market, where they are right now, and then get you to break that down with your experience and with your knowledge and with your connections. Let's have a special hobby program.
Yeah, that'll be a really good program. I mean, I think the two tomorrow and the Dante, I think Christmas Day in action, I think they're very good horses, and he's got so many to choose from. And he's got the likes of Diamond Necklace was a good winner yesterday, and Longchamp. I really like her. Very, very progressive. Quick question for you as well. What do you make of the Charlie Appleby form right now? Would that be a concern for you going into the Derby in the Oaks?
It definitely would be, because he hasn't been firing in America like he normally fires. I really admit, in that race at Keeneland, his horse had absolutely no luck whatsoever. The race was not run to suit him at all. He was desperately unlucky not to get out. And I think the winner, Stolen March, was an incredibly clever ride.
Notable Speech, that was the one, wasn't
it?
Was it Notable Speech?
Sorry?
Notable Speech, is that the horse?
Speech is the one, the Guineas winner.
Yeah, I backed that one for the Locking Stakes. I think, was that not the one that got caught in trouble at Keeneland? Could have been.
Absolutely, 100%. He was anything but disgraced. I think he got beaten head, short head, or something like that. But the straight is very short there, and there was a crawl. Even though the end result was a good time. I think it was around about 1:33 for the mile, which is a respectable time. I just think he was desperately unlucky in traffic, and that comes with local knowledge. Sometimes you don't get it right, being an international.
Yeah, I mean, that horse has exceptional form, and I think it's difficult to argue if that horse didn't get a clean run, it wouldn't have won. It was full of running at the line.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll come back for something. I'm sure he'll come back for Ascot or something like that. But I can assure you, I'm never one to run away from putting my head down. But in this particular instance, I'd like to have just a little bit more card on the table, a few more bits of ammunition. But I'm going to say, from an introduction perspective, we are very, very grateful to have you on board. The fact that you've got such a large following, we are incredibly honored to have you join our stable. And we just hope that it goes from strength to strength, and all of the prospects of South Africa going through what might be a golden era, unbeknown to us, let it come.
Yeah, it's great to connect, Andrew. And obviously, I'm always looking to learn, contribute, and genuinely, I do think South African racing, with the emergence of Betfair, is definitely going to help the product, because punters will be able to get on, they'll be able to get a price. And I genuinely believe that there'll be more liquidity in some of these markets in South Africa than in the UK and Ireland, just because of the deposit limit, say, for gambling fiasco in the UK right now. And maybe that's the wake-up call the UK market needs.
Well, that's the name of the game, liquidity.
Exactly.
Cash is, whether you've got cash or whether you've got cash in the bank, doesn't matter. As long as you can keep it liquid and keep it going, keep the whole thing sustainable. But Mark, I'm going to say thank you and bid you farewell this evening, because it's been a program that I've thoroughly enjoyed, and I know that there is so much more to touch on, so many more things to deal with. But have a good evening, and we look forward to speaking to you. Hopefully on Friday, we can catch up for 10 or 15 minutes to dissect what happened in the Dante and how it's going to affect the betting for the forthcoming Betfred Derby and the Betfred Oaks.
Yeah, it's great to connect, Andrew, and hopefully that 25-1 I got Mercedes looking a little bit better come Friday.
I'm going to watch this program again and again and make special notes, because sometimes when one's asking the questions, one doesn't listen as carefully as one should. So thank you for that. Have a good evening and enjoy the Dante tomorrow.
You too, Andrew. Good luck.